You learn HR management and people practices just once and you're sorted for your lifetime. HR job is that easy. If you're entering HR field with these beliefs and this kind of mindset, then I'm sorry to say that it's totally wrong. Against the popular belief, HR career also demands you to upgrade yourself, upgrade your knowledge, your experiences with time so that you can survive and grow in your HR career. So today I'll share with you all few pointers, or you can say few examples of HR work areas where this updation of knowledge, upgradation of knowledge and experience is kind of mandatory. If you're not doing it, you will find yourself lagging behind and you'll feel stuck doing the same thing over and over again, and you'll not see a good growth curve in your HR career. I'll share some of those examples and areas so that you can take advantage of this awareness and you can level up yourself, and then you can have tremendous growth and success in your HR career. On that note, let's get started. This video is powered by KR. Let's start with the very first function of HR department, which is hiring, obviously, because that's the first step. That's when an employee enters the organization, which is then managed by HR team. So here, when any technology changes for which your company was hiring, say for example, from past 20 years, company was hiring for one particular set of skills, and now all of a sudden in a month or so, there's a huge demand for some other technology and upgradation by the clients of the company. So company has to very quickly put down a plan so that they can have people with that technology on board. It sounds really simple, but there's a lot of work that goes behind it. So let me briefly mention few points so that you have an idea that how much work goes into just doing a simple thing of like hiring for a particular technology. Now, if that technology is new in the market, that means there will not be many resources available with that skill set. So you will have to plan. And how will you plan? You will have to see whether you already have at least one resource within the organization or you do not have anybody at all when you're planning all of this. Now, when the demand arises in the market for any skill set, you'll see a lot of business schools or technical schools or coaching centers starts mentoring students on that particular skill. It can be for freshers as well as it can be those programs can be for experienced people as well. So then you have to figure out whether you'll go to colleges, campuses to hire for that particular skill, or you will hire in off campus. And if you are hiring in off campus, how will you target? Are there any manpower agencies who specialize into that skill set who can provide you that? Are there any companies who have those kind of resources on bench? Maybe there are companies who are into training and development and they have resources on bench whom they have trained on that particular skill, and you can reach out to them so that they can fulfill your resource demand. So that's one aspect of it. Then in the parallel, there will be another aspect where the team would be trying to figure out the salary benchmark for that new emerging skill set, because obviously it's new in the market, so there is not much salary data. You have to very carefully see how you are going to benchmark the salary because you don't want to pay any less than the market, because it's already a high demand. So if you pay less, it will be quite a challenge and you will not find resources, and you do not want to pay too high that the company itself goes into loss. So you do not have to do that as well, because you have existing employees as well, and if you pay like 10 times for that emerging skill, then there will be a huge gap in the pay of existing employee and that technology employees, which is not a very good thing, and it will eventually lead to several problems. Also, as I said, if you have identified somebody within your company who has some knowledge on that skill set, you can have employees on board with very basic skill and then have that person train them on the skill set, and you can design the whole training program around it or something of that sort. So you get an idea how much of work it is when a simple technology changes, and how HRs have to update themselves. Obviously, they have to learn about that technology more and more, what kind of companies are working in that technology, what kind of training centers are emerging, what is the pay ratio, all of that, and how to headhunt those people. So all of this upgradation in knowledge and skills will pay off in your HR career, because if you do it timely, you will get highlighted as a HR who is a real partner to the business, because this is the time when a business, your company needs somebody who can help them design a plan for hiring for a technology which is relatively new in the market and they do not have any idea like from where to hire and how many to hire and what to pay, all of that stuff. Now moving on to our second point, which is change around the state laws. Now all the states in India have their own regulations and compliance laws when it comes to employment. For example, your sick leaves, your PTOs, your maternity benefit, your gratuity benefit. So all of that stuff, things keep changing. For example, if a company is registered in Delhi and there's a second company which is registered in Mumbai, both of them have to follow the regulation of their each state, because regulations around the leaves are usually different for each state. Some states mandate the sick leave, some do not. So all of that knowledge you must have, and if the state governance have changed any law around it, you should be on top of your game. You should know what's happening in the market, if the government is making any new regulation around that benefit of gratuity, and if it happens, you should be compliant from the day one. You should know from which date it got effective, what all got changed in it. It's not that government is going to send a notice of change to your company's address and you can read through it, these things have changed, so we have to change accordingly. No, there's no notice, personalized notice delivered at your doorstep so that you know. You are supposed to take that responsibility and make sure that you're always aware with the current affairs, what's happening and how those laws are changing, and so that you're always compliant with your current state laws. Next on the list come a similar compliance which is related to payroll. Now, as I stated about leaves and other benefits that a company provide, there are compliance related to payroll as well. For example, the PF compliance. If it is only 12%, or you can put something else, if the basic pay is going to be 40% of your CTC, or it's going to be 50% of your CTC. So all those regulations keep changing, and as I said, nobody's going to notify you on your personal email or at the address of the company. You have to make sure that you're always compliant with those laws and you're updating yourself. Even if you have a dedicated payroll team, or you can say compliance team, who is taking care of all of that, if as a HR you are not aware about all of these things, and if they make a mistake, then you will be in a huge mess as a HR. And also because you speak to employees and speak to candidates, the prospective employees of a company on daily basis. If you pass on a wrong information, that doesn't look very good, and you will come across as a very weak HR who doesn't have much knowledge in his or her area. So that's not something you want to do. So now next on the list is something really interesting, the changes that happens around merger and acquisition. Now, if you are a HR who has never been into a situation where either the company where you were working that got acquired, or the company you were working in, they acquired some company. If you have never been into that phase, I would say that you are losing out on so much of rich HR experience, because believe me, the real change happens in those phases, in those situations. There is so much chaos, and there's so much chaos to manage, that in that short span of time, when that merger and acquisition is happening, maybe that was for 3 months, 6 months, or maybe the phase lasted a year, you will learn so much that other experience of your, say for example 6-7 years is way lesser than what your 1 year of experience in that chaotic phase will teach you. Why? Because everything is going to change. Now, say for example, the company you're working in is getting acquired by the other company. So the chances are that you have to work with the HR team of the new company, the company which is acquiring your company. You have to work with their HR team. You have to then help them deploy their tools and systems in your organization. Say for example, your current company was using SAP ERP as your HRIS. It was using SAP, but the company which acquired your company is using KK as a HRIS. Then you have to make sure that you help them deploy that KK HRIS into your organization. Everything will then float through the new system only. All the old practices will cease to exist. For example, you might have a structure where bonus is paid out in, say for example, month of April, but the new company do not pay out the bonus at all. They do not have it in their structure. It's all fixed. Then you have to find a way out to make sure that that bonus component of existing employees get converted into fixed ones somehow, so that they do not lose the overall CTC amount. So all of this planning takes a lot of time and work, guys. It's not that easy. And on top of that, the usual anxiety employees have, that they are not sure about their jobs. So in that challenging environment, you have to make sure that you retain the crucial talent. You retain the talent which the company values, and company do not want them to leave. In such a scenario, how you plan and execute your communication with the employees holds a great importance, because obviously layoff will be there. You just cannot go on the floor and tell employees that there will be no layoff, so be rest assured. You cannot do all of that. So it's quite messy and chaotic, but believe me, guys, at the same time, it's huge learning. So you need to have that kind of knowledge and skill set with you, and you should be able to adapt quickly and rapidly, because things are changing really fast. And if you do not update yourself with the new ways of working, then very soon you'll find yourself at the exit door. So that's how it is. Moving on to our next point, the change that happens when a company goes into IPO. So if you are working in a company which is private limited, not yet into IPO or registered company at any stock exchange, then when the company finally decides to register there or be there on stock exchange, it's again a huge change, and it will teach you a lot, because a lot goes behind the scenes where HR help management provide all the data, all the information, work on so many things, because it's not just the name of the company is going there. There's a lot of information, data behind the scenes that floats to the authorities, which then determine whether the company is actually eligible to do the IPO or not. And it demands a lot of upgradation of your skills, and if you're just in your comfortable zone doing the regular HR stuff, then you'll not find yourself moving up the ladder. Next thing on the list is when company decides to hire or fire in mass, like when a lot of people are getting fired from the company, or when a lot of people are hired in a company, like in a bulk. So when a lot of employees are let go from a company, as a HR, you must be aware what kind of compliance you have to follow, and also comply to company's rules and regulations. If there is a certain set notice period, for example 2 months or 3 months, then you have to make sure that company or the management is planning for enough severance pay, so that company itself is not breaching out the rules and regulations about the notice period or separation process. Also, when you are hiring in bulk, there are a lot of things that HR should take care. For example, you are working in a company which was like 10 employees so far. You're working as a HR in that company. All of a sudden, company has hired 40 more employees. So now company is around 50 people. So regulations for 10 people's company are very different from regulations that are applicable to 50 people company. For example, PF itself, for a 10 people company, they might or might not register for the PF, but for a 50 size company, they must get registered, and they have to remit PF in their PF accounts. So all of that compliance is mandatory, and you must be aware. You should upgrade yourself. As the company is growing, you must grow your skill set and your awareness level. You should know what the law says with the growing numbers, how you have to comply, how things are changing. Now moving on to our next point, or you can say next change, and I think I spoke about it in some of my earlier videos, but it's still worth mentioning here, as we are talking about HR not being a stagnant career. So it's about the change from full-time work from office workforce to a full-time work from home workforce, or maybe hybrid. So as a HR, I can tell you that it's entirely different how you handle a remote workforce in comparison of working in office workforce. Things are a little easier when you are trying to communicate. You can reach out to the person, talk to them face to face, arrange all hands and announce anything, and make sure that everybody got it, and engagement gets more easy, and making sure that everybody is aware of certain things gets easy when everyone is working from office. But things get a little chaotic when you have to manage the workforce entirely remotely. You have to make sure everybody is feeling connected and engaged, and nobody is trying to take advantage of that benefit of work from home. You have to make sure that also. So the auditing becomes more frequent, and you have to make sure that there are enough policies and processes that can track how employees are performing, because there's no other way. You never know what they are doing, if they are disengaged or there's enough work. And if you have the experience of managing a workforce which was working entirely from office for your last 10 years, you're working as a HR on that kind of workforce. Now to handle a remote workforce all of a sudden is gonna need you to upgrade your skill set a lot. So I really hope you got the point and you are convinced that HR is not a stagnant career, and it demands a lot of continuous learning and skill upgradation along the way. And if you really are serious about your success in your HR career, then you must invest in your learning, because there's no other way, there's no other shortcut. You will get growth only when you provide equivalent value to the organization and you become a real partner which they can trust on and they can rely for the growth of company. And that was it. That were a few things I wanted to share with you all as an examples you can take, or a few pointers you can say. I really hope that today's conversation helped you in some way or other, and you really use this information in your real life to scale up in your career. And if you do and you get any success, please make sure to come back and put your thoughts down in the comment section so that other young HRs can learn from your success story. And if you still have any queries around any topic that I just discussed in this video, please feel free to put them in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer them to the best of my abilities. With that, I'm signing off. You keep on watching more content on the HR destination to be a successful HR professional, and I'll see you in my next video. Till then, stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye.